Can I help you?
Why, yes, yes, you can. I'm here to report a terrible crime.
And what terrible crime is that?
This one.
Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about the 2020 American superhero film directed by Kathy Yan and written by Christina Hodson, based on the DC Comics team, The Birds of Prey. Even though it really isn't that much of a Birds of Prey movie, we have Birds of Prey, or some people call it the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. It really is just the Harley Quinn movie though, and here we are back with yet another installment into this universe with this Harley Quinn character, of course centered around a DC figure that I felt eventually needed to be in the spotlight, eventually needed to be in her own film, even if it came with kind of like the backhand that is supposed to be a Birds of Prey movie. And that is obviously Harley Quinn, who once again is played beautifully by one of the best actresses of our generation, already with a fucking wall, Margot Robbie. As beautiful as she is, and again I say this before, like, everyone wants to comment on her looks and how good she looks, but she's a great actress, like, without a doubt. Margot Robbie's great, and she is joined by a star-studded, almost all-female cast, and she is sidekicked by the iconic Rosie Perez. Well, let's dive into some more Harley Quinn lore. Let's learn a little bit more about this character, shall we? So getting into the premise, this movie follows the title character, or like one of the title characters, Harley Quinn, who gets displayed in full on a feature-length origin story pretty much on how the Joker's former madam came to be. I mean, we kind of learned about her a little bit with the first Suicide Squad movie. We're watching the Suicide Squad today. This really puts her in the spotlight, really shows like what has been going on with her life, and yeah, when her and the Joker's relationship literally goes out with a bang, there is a huge target placed on Harley's back as one of the biggest troublemakers and feather rufflers in Gotham City. Unprotected and on the run, Quinn faces the wrath of narcissistic crime boss Black Mask, his right-hand man Victor Zsasz, which I feel like could have been involved a little bit more. The city, every person that wants her head, every person that she's had a grievance with, all these thugs, you know, that she has wronged before. Sorry, I was losing my spot in my notes there, but things soon even out for Harley when she becomes unexpected allies with three deadly women: Huntress, Black Canary, and Renee Montoya, who make up the Birds of Prey. Together, they must work together to get a stone out of little mischievous thief Cassandra Cain's stomach. The question is, will they succeed, or will Black Mask cut everything to black? You'll have to kind of see it for yourself. Again, that is where, plot-wise, this movie is going. I would feel like the good, the bad, and the okay is pretty balanced for this movie. There's a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, and a lot of okay things. So starting with the good, I'm going to say this every time I review a movie in this universe: no one can ever, and probably never ever will, play Harley Quinn as good as Margot Robbie. This girl is just an acting phenomenon. She is so incredible in this role. Her nonchalant attitude towards violence, her cute voice, her over-the-top personality, all of it makes her not only an entertaining character, but also a likable character. Because yeah, she has this cynical joyfulness to her, but she can really flip that switch and, you know, just become a badass at any point in the movie. And I think Margot Robbie does such a good job at kind of transitioning the character from, hey, it's all sunshine and rainbows, and I'm going to give you a bright smile and, you know, do all this stuff, to, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. Like, it's fucking awesome. It's so great. She flips the switch. It's amazing. The way she uses accents and just the acting overall is great for her. And the way this movie is presented also, with like another good thing, with like Harley Quinn narrating the whole thing and giving sort of a viewpoint on the world. I just love that about this movie. It really does feel like a Harley Quinn movie. They do a great job at making it that, even though it is kind of supposed to be a Birds of Prey adaptation from the comic books. Now obviously I'm not a huge comic book fan, so I'm not super familiar with old Birds of Prey lore, but I mean, there's more to it, I guess, than Harley Quinn just stealing the show. The storytelling techniques were also nice for a change. It's definitely a fun ride, you know, all the time-lapsing, all the different points in time. It's cool. And overall, in the Suicide Squad franchise so far, or like with Harley Quinn, I really enjoy the whole character introduction thing with the doodling on the screen as well. Again, the aesthetic, the style, it looks great. Yeah, it's the pacing, the style, it makes it so entertaining. It sets it away from other comic book films, sometimes in good, sometimes in bad. But overall, it's a pretty solid movie, and the action scenes are great. They have this sort of unique Harley Quinn twist to them, and there's slightly some humor at times, so you get the best of a lot of worlds in this movie. With that being said, though, there are a couple of bad things getting into the bad. Some of these aren't major, but I mean, I think in a sense they held back on some like the gnarliness that we saw in Suicide Squad. Now, some people argue that Suicide Squad is a little less brutal, but this movie tries to hold back for some reason. I don't know. This movie doesn't seem as raunchy or obnoxious or in your face as Suicide Squad, which I found interesting because that is the special part about this character of Harley Quinn. You know, shit gets ugly, but
business is business.
and there's some gore, but come on, you have to make a film centered around this character a little more grungy and a little less visually beautiful. Again, that's where like the style and the aesthetic of the movie kind of gets in the way of things. Also, the story is so watered down. Like, if you switched Harley Quinn with Tyler Rake, I mean, this is literally Extraction 2 or 3. This is Extraction 3. This is like what they would go for if they made a third film in that franchise. And I think they are. But with a couple more sidekicks, I guess. Like Birds of Prey, come on, we'll come in at the last 15 minutes. Stuff like this where this kid is getting fought over by like 10 parties. It's not really cool anymore, sadly. Like, it really doesn't work out that well for this movie. I hate to say that, but yeah. They sort of sacrifice story for aesthetic, which is understandable, considering visually Harley Quinn is a cool character and one of the coolest characters in the DC universe. But this premise and how it was executed was extremely lazy. And I also found it strange that the Birds of Prey heroes didn't come into the movie similar to Black Mask until the third act, and overall Black Mask is more of a mixed character, and we'll get to that here in a second. And speaking of characters, getting into the okay, kind of like the mixed elements, I'm mixed on just the other characters that aren't Harley Quinn in general. I don't mind Rosie Perez as this determined cop, but come on, this has been done plenty of times before, and I know it's supposed to be like an accurate depiction of the comic books. I get it. Like, it's funny that this movie sort of makes fun of superheroes with a character like the Huntress, but then you get to Black Canary and she's this driver for Black Mask who used to be a singer for him, and she just sings her ass off and subdues enemies with it. It's like, come on. Characters like that just aren't for me. I'm not a huge fan of characters that gimmicky. The positive of these characters is that they are developed well, but I can't help but sort of cringe. And, you know, the weapons they have, the lines they have throughout the movie, it's just not the greatest thing in the world. They try to pull a lot of weird things, doesn't quite work. And Roman Sionis, with aka Black Mask, was a decent enough character too that I would call him a solid character in ways and a bad character in others, so that's why he's kind of mixed. Overall, the bad of this movie, and obviously, again, I haven't read the comic book, so I don't really have that much of an appreciation for this villain. He's very meh. He doesn't really get into character until the third act, which was a really weird decision. They could have easily changed that, because that's something that you don't have to adapt from the comics, and it probably wasn't that way in the comics to begin with. And it was sort of a missed opportunity to this movie. And obviously the cool thing is, like, he looks cool, and there's some gnarly kills involving him, including his own death, but he could have had more of a presence. I do like how his character looks. Like, the mask is fucking sick. It's obviously a little, like, generic, but he looks fucking cool when he's in character. But the problem is, we don't get that until the end of the film. So getting into the review, Fearless Time. And I would say this is a slightly worse, like, Suicide Squad film. It's slightly worse than that film. And some people would say it's better. Some people would say it's an improvement, because we do get purely Harley Quinn instead of having Deadshot in there. But I like Deadshot. I love the Harley Quinn origin story. I think that's great. I think that's a good concept and something that comic book fans have wanted and DC fans have wanted for a super long time. Like, Harley Quinn's a very riveting, polarizing, interesting character. And to make a whole movie about her as like a side thing, you know, you can see it in the poster, it's cool. You kind of love to see her explored. And as bad as some of the, or as not as good as these movies may be at times, you want to see her more. The more you watch the movies, it's like, I want another one. I want another one. Because Margot Robbie is so fucking good. I'm watching the Suicide Squad movie today. The characters in this movie just weren't as interesting, though. This isn't me saying necessarily that they were bad, but where the fuck is Will Smith when you need him? No, I'm just kidding. This movie doesn't provide anything special except for the portrayal of Harley Quinn. The generic plot lines, some generic cliche characters, I guess they were kind of self-aware about that. you know, with the whole Huntress gimmick. It is a Harley Quinn movie. It doesn't really serve its purpose, and I understand why. You know, I look on online forums and there's DC comic book fans that are kind of pissed because it's like, well, Birds of Prey didn't come in until the last like 20-30 minutes of the movie, so it's like, what's the point there? I don't know. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. That is going to do it for the video. As always, it has been your boy GZTV, giving you guys movie reviews. Tomorrow, obviously, we are going to be covering The Suicide Squad, which is the second, pretty much the sequel to the original Suicide Squad. They just kind of took an intermission to introduce Harley Quinn and to build on our character more. So, peace out.